Good morning, everyone. It's getting to be that time again. It is a cool morning, a little overcast, lots of fog out there, morning dew still. And yesterday morning, I could see that it had even had a little bit frosted. Yep, yep. But nothing better than a little fresh, cool morning to wake you up properly. So, Sage says hello too. Something reminded me of on how our own experiences, yes, teach us the lessons. And then on how we become a little bit more conscientious about how much we actually have. So I'm going to start out with this one. My mom grew up not in a poor household, but in a household with jealousy and resentment. My grandmother, on my mom's side, was married to a man she didn't want to marry. But even in Switzerland, so many years ago, right? Yes, you just do what you're told to do. And no one ever really told me, or I think my mom doesn't even know, on why my grandmother, except for, okay, married to a man she didn't really love or wanted or whatever, why she was so prone to depression. So after she gave birth to the third child, she didn't want to recover. Yeah, supposedly that can happen. And she died soon after. My grandfather, who also, I've never met my grandmother then, of course, on my mom's side. I never really met my grandfather either on that side. I think I've seen him one time, and I don't have much recollection of any kind of give and take with him or whatever. He remarried, and that wife was a true stepmother, if you know what I mean. And the baby, they all were girls. She was too little to, I guess, too little. My mom was 3. My other aunt, the oldest sister, was 5, and there was a strict regiment in that household. After the death of his first wife, my grandfather started to heavily drink every day. And when the girls did anything, okay, at what, 3 and 5 years old, the youngest one wasn't quite treated as that, as badly. They'd have to sit on the couch and wait for the father to come home, who then the stepmother would tell whatever, and they would get spanked every day. Every day, people. Every day. These 2 girls, 3 and 5 years old, had to wait to get hit by some story the stepmother made up. That's what was my mom's life. Not long after that, they were seen in front of a bakery. And the woman inside, I guess the owner, she looked out and she saw both of the girls foaming from their mouths. and went out and realized that there was soap coming out of their mouths. And come to find her, she called, but that time they already had social services for child protection. Called someone, said, you gotta come and check this out. Something's not right with these two girls. And she kept them there at the bakery. When they asked the girls what they'd done or what happened to them, they said they were so hungry that they ate the soap that they found in the bathroom. Can you imagine? 3 and 5 years old, going on 4, going on 6. You're so hungry that you're going to eat soap. Weren't fed. As I said, this was not a poor household. My grandfather and that stepmother of my mother's ended up having a bunch more kids, 5 or 6 of them, I don't know. These two girls, including the youngest one, my youngest aunt, of the 3 girls, were taken away out of the household and put in foster care. And my mom ended up growing up in foster care. Now, can you think, when you've had such a rough beginning as a child, anything is better than that. And so my mom was always grateful for the foster family that took her in. They never adopted her, but they took her in, and she lived a good life, had a good upbringing. Yes, no, not like a daughter to their parents, being loved like a daughter, right, to their parents. But at least she had a place, right, where she had clothes, where she had food. Yeah. So when we grew up, um, we were taught that you don't waste food. You just don't. You don't do that ever. And what you serve yourself, you will eat. As I grew older, I came across some people who said, I'm not going to do that to my children and make them eat things, and finish their plate and all that. Now, I'm in agreement with if you put too much food, right, then that's on you, on your child's plate, and they just aren't that hungry, then that's on you. If it's something that the child really doesn't like, and you know what? I've gagged on food. It's just, something, right? Then you don't make them eat that. Why even cook that then, right? Yes? All right. That's not okay, in my opinion. But to waste food, as much food as I've seen wasted in many different places, households, banquets, whatever, that's wrong. Absolutely wrong. And should never happen. So, yeah, I raised my children. Here, you get this little bit. Then if you want more, you can have more, but you will finish what's on your plate. And if I noticed that there was something that they had a real hard time eating because it just wasn't to their taste, they didn't have to eat it, right? Oh, of course, I was made sure that they had something else. Or after I realized, my children, they're having a hard time with this or that, I just wouldn't cook it anymore and found things that everybody in the family liked to eat. Now that I've told you the story of my mom, starvation. Starvation around the world still happens. It's probably happening here in this country still too. Oh, you think because people are so poor? I'll tell you how it happens to children. When the parents are on drugs, and drugs are more important to buy than food. When parents just aren't there, leave the children on their own, and forget that in order to have food, you got to go and buy it. That's for a child. I'm sure there are some children out there who know how to grow a garden, which is great too. But how many of them are there? I speak from experience of being close enough to people where that has happened. People, children starving. Okay, I found out the stories later on, of course, firsthand from the children who've grown up. I have to tell you something. We had to go and steal peanut butter and bread so we had something to eat. Again, not a poor household. It was just one parent was just oblivious. I don't know, too busy doing other things, and the other parent wasn't there. Didn't inquire either if the children were okay. And there's more, but starvation. Are people still with not enough food out there in certain places in the world, including our own country? Yes. Who's mostly affected by it? Children. So, would it be such a great sacrifice to buy a little less food? Make sure what you buy, you use. Make sure what you cook, you eat. And don't throw it away. Huh? Just because you got so much. Wouldn't that be, in many ways, showing respect to the ones who are starving out there? No? Not our problem, right? Is it not? I found that many times when I sacrificed certain things or was very conscientious about on how I use things, what I throw away, what I buy, that somehow, again, that kind of conscientiousness, right? My conscience properly working, my heart to mind properly working, can be a blessing to the ones still suffering out there. Because what do I always say? We're not alone here. You're never alone. Spirit world always works with us. Yeah? Yes? Oh, people believe in all that kind of spiritual jazz out there, don't they? This, that, and I don't know what, the energy, blah, 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 blah. Well, think about it. And apply it in the right way, in God's view. Then you know, I'm telling you the truth. Yes? Yeah. And all that high-flying mumbo-jumbo, as I say, when it comes to certain spiritual stuff, throw it out the window. Get connected to the real deal. How about that? And here's one thing. Don't waste food. Don't be that disrespectful to the people out there. Children out there who are still starving. All right. Anywho, so there it is. Let's get going. I need my glasses. Yep, I saw something this morning. Nathan's prophecy. 2 Samuel 7. Nathan's prophecy. Who is Nathan? Nathan. Oh, we had Nathan at one point. He is... no, let's see. Once the king had settled into his palace and Yahweh had granted him rest from all the enemies surrounding him. Yahweh had granted him rest. Oh, Father. Were you done, creating war out there? He says, I didn't do it. Okay. You know how I mean it, yes. The king said to the prophet Nathan, oh, it's a prophet, look, I am living in a cedar wood palace while the ark of God is under awnings. Nathan said to the king, go and do whatever you have in mind, for Yahweh is with you. Did you guys just hear this? A cedar wood palace. That's a pretty cool wood. Cedar is a really, really nifty wood. Beautiful too. That's not good enough. And of course, it has to be mentioned. See, he didn't say the ark is under an awning. We need to do better than that. I don't know. He mentioned his palace of cedar wood first. Yes, gotcha. Mm-hmm. But that very night the word of Yahweh came to Nathan. Go and tell my servant David. Yahweh says this, are you to build me a temple for me to live in? I have never lived in a house from the day when I brought the Israelites out of Egypt until today, but have kept traveling with a tent for shelter. I was going to mention that. In all my travels with all the Israelites, did I say to any of the judges of Israel whom I had commanded to shepherd my people, Israel, why do you not build me a cedar wood temple? This is what you must say to my servant David. Yahweh Sabaoth says this, I took you from the pasture, from following the sheep, to be leader of my people Israel. I have been with you wherever you went. I have got rid of all your enemies for you. I am going to make your fame as great as the fame of the greatest on earth. I am going to provide a place for my people Israel. I shall plant them there, and there they will live and never be disturbed again. Nor will they be oppressed by the wicked any more, as they were in former times, ever since the time when I instituted judges to govern my people Israel, and I shall grant you rest from all your enemies. Yahweh furthermore tells you that he will make you a dynasty, and when your days are over and you fall asleep with your ancestors, I shall appoint you heir, your own son to succeed you, and I shall make this sovereignty secure. His sovereignty secure. I'm not wearing my good glasses. He will build a temple for my name, and I shall make his royal throne secure forever. I shall be a father to him, and he a son to me. If he does wrong, I shall punish him with a rod such as men use, with blows such as mankind gives. But my faithful love will never be withdrawn from him as I withdrew it from Saul, whom I removed from before you. Your dynasty and your sovereignty will ever stand firm before me, and your throne be forever secure. Nathan related all these words and this whole revelation to David. So, did he say? No, he said, it's interesting. So, David alludes to, okay, again, we may understand this differently. What am I hearing out of this? Okay, well, first of all, wow, God sure had a lot to say. That's the most he had to say in a long time. Where has then this prophet Nathan been all this time? Hmm? No, don't know either. But here he is. Yes? Sprouted out of the ground. Okay. I can't help it, you guys. Okay. So here's David and says, okay, I've got this cedarwood palace. I know there's better materials, gold, and he's probably looking at the Ark of the Covenant and goes, that looks mighty fine. Right? Yes? And then, and what about, sounds to me like God here never says anything about David's palace. He's talking about, and says, have I ever asked for it? What have I told you what I would do for you? Right? And again, why am I being now put in a temple? You want to build a temple. Right? That's a nice, neat way, right, to organize God away, rather than what does God really want? He wants to live among the people. Right? Yes? All right. Just saying. Right? I'm reading all this, and something came to my mind. Then he says, your son, your heir, will build me a temple. Now, I say something came to my mind. The three temptations of Christ. You remember those? What was one of them? I have wondered here for a while, who's truly talking when it comes to when they mention Yahweh? And how? How does this sound like? A lot of it, in a way. Now people believe in Satan and the devil and this and that, right? Yes? People have to remember that dude, if there is a dude, that archangel, right, did something in the beginning wrong. After that, though, I believe, from what I've seen amongst mankind, huh, we just went right on along and invented a bit more, didn't we? Because, as I say, it's always easier to blame someone else, especially someone you can't prove they're there. They did it, but they're there and tempted. Yes? Well, anyway, so one has to really wonder. Oh, Nathan. Okay, well, hey, look, you're that close to the king, and right, yes, and kings and queens, and it's well known that they have their spiritual advisors, and always have, probably still do, right? Yes, and very much followed their okay, God's guidance, or okay, all right. Again, you can't prove God didn't talk to them or whatever. Right? But what are we hearing right here in this passage? Nathan gave David exactly what he wanted to hear in some ways. Right? Yes? All right. Just saying. Yes. God sure talked a lot here. He had so little to say beforehand. Now suddenly here, right, he explodes into a speech. Well, when there are discrepancies for me in a passage or something, I read it 3 times and try to really not just okay right there, not to just have oh that well, I had my experiences. I've had my own. I have my own ways on how I get through life. So how do I want to understand this for myself? To make the excuses to say, well, see there, you see, right? Or am I going to acknowledge selfish me, look how I'm fixing things so that it fits my life. I can't help it that some people in the world don't have any food. And I have so much in the fridge that I can throw away what I don't really want, what I bought too much. How's that my problem? Yeah, see? See how we fix things in our own head. Nathan, with a big long speech, supposedly from God, is fixing David. Right? Fixing David's attitude of anything and all out there. And again, David thinks of what? He has a home to live in. Why does he need another one? Cedar wood. Man, that's great wood. But the ark is only under a awning? Why isn't the ark inside his palace somewhere? Right? No? Oh, that's an odd one. It's outside. Sounds like it's under an awning. Sounds like it's outside. What is that? A bit premeditated? Okay, all right. David's prayer. Here we go. King David then went in, sat down in Yahweh's presence, and said, Who am I, Lord Yahweh, and what is my lineage for you to have led me as far as this? Wait a minute. Didn't he just get this big long speech here from Nathan, the prophet, supposedly from Yahweh? Now David goes and, okay, there's some things he didn't like what was said in it, right? Even though, yes, see, here is the thing. Our subconscious, in a way, is letting us know, okay, this is what you want to hear. But I'm going to throw a few things in that you don't want to hear. Because we are all connected to spirit world. We are connected to God. So there's still a little bit of leeway there, right? Yes? Well, people like dreams and, as I said, visions and all that jazz, right? Yes? Right? Yeah? Well, okay. You think it's always going to just happen the way you want to? Or then if you feel like you have certain talents, well, it's only going to run in that direction. What's God trying to do with the world even today? Restores, especially the principles of love. Right? So here, David's not necessarily, okay, this sounds good. Yeah, it sounds good. But that's not about me. That's about my son, right? As well. So here he goes. He says, well, who am I? Why have you brought me this far? But David doesn't know. He has no clue. If he really listened, and if this really came from God, what did God also say? He said, look how I've prepared everything. Where have I brought the Israelites? Okay, that's it. What is this? How much of this has the Nathan's prophet? Okay, it says a prophecy. Well, wait a minute. Didn't you? A prophecy is something. Okay. Either God is talking to Nathan or he's not. A prophecy can be anything. Right? Right? It could come true or not. We already know that. I mean, there's enough history now. Somebody mentioned Nostradamus again. I'm going, just go away. I don't want to hear it. A visionary is different from someone. As I said, nobody can tell the future. It's not possible. It just isn't. It just isn't. Can't. But visions are possible. Okay, again, at the time. Okay, let's see. Prophecy. What's a prophecy? Okay. Well, in any case, so here he is questioning God again, because he didn't like everything that he heard that Nathan said. Again, because what? Good and evil are fighting inside of us all the time. Oh, not because there's some bad angel or some demon, inside of us, or this or that. It's more about being unselfish and being selfish. Done. All right. Let's keep going. Let's see what else comes up here. Yet to you, Lord Yahweh, this seemed too little, and now you extend your promises for your servant's family into the distant future. Such is human destiny, Lord Yahweh. What more can David say to you, since you, Lord Yahweh, know all about your servant? Because he asks this. It's not, for him, it is not set in stone. It's not set in stone. He's asking all this, God. Okay? It has question marks. Because of your promise, and since you were so inclined, you have had the generosity to reveal this to your servant. This is why you are great, Lord Yahweh. There is no one like you, no God but you alone, as everything that we have heard confirms. Is there another people on earth like your people, like Israel, whom a God proceeded to redeem, to make them his people, and to make a name for himself by performing great and terrible things on their behalf? Great and terrible things on their behalf, by driving out nations and their gods before his people. For you constituted your people Israel, your own people forever, and you, Yahweh, became their God. Now, Yahweh God, may the promise which you have made for your servant and for his family stand firm forever, as you have said, so that your name will be exalted forever, and people will say, Israel's God is Yahweh Sabaoth. Your servant David's dynasty will be secure before you, since you, Yahweh Sabaoth, the God of Israel, have disclosed to your servant. I am going to build you a dynasty. Hence, your servant has ventured to offer this prayer to you. Yes, Lord Yahweh, you are good indeed. Your words are true, and you have made this generous promise to your servant. What is more, you have deigned to bless your servant's dynasty, so that it may remain forever before you. For you, Lord Yahweh, have spoken, and may your servant's dynasty be blessed with your blessing forever. David's and his descendants' dynasty. Oh, interesting. Hey, really, when you read about it, when you read all this, what's wrong with it? There's nothing wrong with it. No, there isn't. all through what we've been reading so far, the people of Israel have grown, right? Yes, they're expanding their territory, and they have grown. Israel, the people of God, have grown. Yet here is God telling David, I'm going to make your family, I'm going to make Israel I'm going to give you a dynasty, right, over Israel. Oh, really? That's how God works? I don't think so. Yes? How is David receiving it? What if David had said, Father in heaven, Yahweh, my God, I just want to teach your people to love you and love you only, to be guided by you and you only, for us to become a true Israel. David's like holding God to the promise he just made. Yes? Did God make that promise? I have no idea. That, I'm sure it sounds good to the people out there. We're going to become a dynasty. That reminds me of all the wars going on, or people who start wars. Yeah. For the reason of, greater something for their own people. Yes? Oh. I don't really know how much more to say. I could talk and talk and talk about this until people get tired of listening. Probably already do. And I wonder, again, in this 7 here now, Samuel 2:7 passage, yes, what the people would consider to be more important. Yes? The words of Yahweh, if they're Yahweh's words, or the prayer of David. What sounds more true? What will be given more interest in? It seems like that the supposed words given to Nathan the prophet and then given to David from God are just a needed precursor for David's prayer, right? Yes? I think that wasn't God's intention, desire, will right? To for David to, I'm going to make your family a dynasty. Making promises like that. And I think that desire just came from David. Nathan just gave him what he wanted. Yes? Yeah. Well, in any case, there it is. Us common people, one, right? Yes. Just strives to survive. Okay. Interestingly enough, it's pretty amazing on how people do work together. Do. Yes? Keep a country running. You think it's the government? The governments, the kings, the queens, the emperors, the presidents. It's the people, the common people. What all them politicians do without us people. Who make up the armies? Yeah, now you fight a lot just in the air, right? Just shoot off something. Destroy whatever. And it's amazing on how common people live life and make it. Yes. Build up a life. Then raise a family. Yes. Keep things running. Yes. That's happening all over the world, isn't it? In every country, on every continent. Yes. No? There are. Just the common people. Yes. And without them, what would there be? Huh? I'm saying this because something's gone on in Israel again, in today's world. No doubt with their neighbors. And here we are, right? Yeah, let's send more whatever to Israel, right? To protect Israel. Nobody think about the common people in the other country. One has to remember that it's not the common people fighting in these countries. The ones that keep their life together, build up a life, then raise families. Yes. Are good neighbors and friends. It's not them. Who is it? So, while I pray, please just let war disappear. War is not needed. It's not needed. It was never needed. It's just a greed and power hungry who has somehow convinced so many people it's needed, right? Yes? That if everybody were to just lay down their weapons and say no, that would be the end of it. I pray not just for Israel. I pray for the other country as well. Yes? Yeah, I'm thinking, which one is it now again? There's a couple I always get mixed up. I shouldn't, should I? But in a way, it's good because I'm not going to let people have me start to hate another people because they're kind of inciting me to do so, right? Because you want me to pray for one country as if the other one wasn't deserving. Well, then all I have to say to people, you got to remember there are common people on both sides. And neither of them is a part of this war stuff. Neither of them. So, well, I had my say there. Oh. Which brings me to one more thing, which kind of goes right along with that. Then I am done talking. I saw, did I mention that yesterday already? Maybe I did. I'll mention it again because it fits well in here. There's a post that says every 1,000 years there is and it is today. What's today? Today would be today, right? That the year that you're born, everybody, right, will have the same, what's it called? Birthday or something? And that's 2023, something like that. And it's your birth year plus your age. I'm going, wait a second. Well, that would have been true in 2002. That would have been true. That would have been true last year. Besides, for me, I haven't turned. Haven't had my birthday yet this year. So no, for me it would be 2022 if I added up, right? Yes. Okay. But it's every year that way. And they say, oh, it only happens every 1,000 years. And I'm going, that's a bunch of bull. Who the heck came up with that? What moron is going to actually think that people are not going to catch on to that and go back and say, what are you, nuts? You belong in an asylum. That's a simple math equation that anybody, and it's a simple math sentence, right? That immediately you're going, yeah, but that happens every year. Your birth year plus your age. Anybody around the world, their birth year plus their age will always add up to the present year once they hit their birthday. So it wouldn't be today. It would be December 31st, right? Then you could say, so everybody, right, at least then. But today, as I said, that's how the post was. Going, people aren't going for that, right? I went through the comments. You wouldn't believe. I wouldn't believe how many people are happily being led around by their nose. Do you know why people say that? You know, in bulls, you put the big rings in, right? Yes? And nose ring. Bulls are really difficult to control when they're not fixed. So, you put a ring in like that, and you can act. It's so painful, right, that if they pull on it, this or that they won't, and you can actually lead them very peacefully. Right? Yes, yeah. Around. People are out there like that. Believe. As I said, what did I just say about that math sentence? People believe it. Oh, that's interesting. Oh, that's amazing. Oh, wow. That's really sad. When I read that, immediately I'm going, well, that's a bunch of BS. No, where did that come from? And people are going to go for that? Or is somebody testing out there? How dumb people actually are out there? I have no idea. But I went in and I said, okay, that's a weird one. Interestingly enough, I saw it twice. Then I wanted to go, and I was able to show it to someone. I said, hey, look at this. And I went back in to show it to somebody else. I said, look at this. I wanted to see how they would, if they would catch on. So far, nobody that I showed it to actually caught on until I said, aren't you getting this? Look. And then I go, oh, oh, oh yeah. And now I can't find it anymore. Anyway. Now I can't find it anymore. Maybe enough people caught on to it and called them out like I did, for example. Right? Yes? Uh-huh. How do things disappear that are just absolute nonsense? All right. That's all I have to share this morning. The prophet Nathan. Just made some predictions into the future. Prophecies. Ooh. Right? Yes? We'll get to that a little later, I guess. And I'll bring this up again. We have to remember we tend to see certain stories the way we want to when it comes to the Bible. Jesus told the story of the shepherd, right? Yes? Jesus told the story of the shepherd. Yes? It wasn't him himself who did that. He said, if there is a shepherd, he has 100 sheep, he loses one. He leaves the 99 behind to go and look for the lost one. Yes? Prophecies. Pretending to know the future is something that would make things written in stone per se in the future. But the future hasn't been written yet. So there is no way that anybody can do that. That would mean that, well, I had 100 sheep. I lost one. I still have 99. No need to go look for the one. That's why. You don't. Nobody should make predictions into the future like that. You can have visions. A visionary is different. I've explained that before, right? And visionaries go according to what the past and the present is. Okay? But again, they still can't know for sure that's going to happen in the future. What they're doing is telling you this could very well be the future if things don't change. If things change, then the future changes. Yeah, see? So, I do not believe that God has any part, had in the past, or now, or will in the future, have any part of any predictions into the future, or prophecies into the future. Don't believe that. I said, then Jesus, I guess, was wrong about the one lost sheep. Yes? Not sure. Are you getting it? No? If you want to believe in people who tell you about the future, then, as I said, there's no need to go and look for that lost sheep, is there? You still have the 99. But if you believe in the presence of God and you obey the presence of God and the laws of God, then you would hope you will find that lost sheep. You would hope. You would have faith. You would believe. And you would never give up. Is that true? And then no matter what, you would go and look for that lost sheep. We've had that here several times happening with baby goats and goats where one of them wouldn't return and I would have to go and look for them. Did I? Yeah, that could happen here. Yeah, that's going to happen here. That will happen here. And that's just going to be it then. Right? No, I always hoped it wouldn't happen. When it did happen, I let Spirit Rock guide me, and I found every one of them except one. But she was very, very old. I wasn't here. They were under the care of someone else. And she, in the snow, she was very, very old. I have no idea what happened to her. It's the only one never found. Lizzie was her name. Anyway. Okay, that's all I have to say today. Oh, it's a beautiful day. The sun's shining right at me. I'm a little warm now. All the talking. Me warm? Yeah. That. Happy Lazy Sunday. I am definitely going to have a happy Lazy Sunday. Sissy and I worked out here. Mowed the grass. We hung up, came up with a good idea to close off at the stove room in the wintertime. Then we have one room that's real nice and toasty, right? Wait, really? We don't have the money here to heat this whole house. Are you kidding me? Or the wood, for that matter. Right? So we have one room that's nice and cozy where we sit and talk and do our things. Right? Yes? Yeah. All right. So, did all that, and my legs are shut. I have to go to the barn. That's all I'm going to do today. Otherwise, I'm just going to rest my legs. Thank you, Father. I have the possibility to do so. Those are the true blessings, aren't they? People would just pay attention, they'd realize how much they're receiving from spirit world, from our heavenly parents, truly. And then would conserve those blessings. Be vigilant and conscientious with those blessings. Yes? Like food? Just saying. God's love and blessings always. May He protect you, and I will talk to y'all another time.